Hello and welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Andrew Mellen, and today's topic is uncluttered communication. My friend and colleague, Sensei Victoria Whitfield, who's also been a guest on the podcast, asked me to talk about this topic. So this is for you, Victoria, and for everybody else as well. I talk often about no story, just facts. And what that means to me, and what I hope it means to you as well, is the story is your story. The facts are the facts. And everybody can relate to the facts. And while story is tremendously powerful as a tool for creating intimacy between people, it is less effective when it comes to clearly articulating something you want to get done and make sure that everybody is on board with it. So the story or the metaphor can be useful in illustrating a point, but not necessarily in making the point. So if I ask you, can we have lunch on Thursday at 2 p.m.? I don't want a story reply. I want yes, no, or maybe. I'll get back to you. I have to check my calendar. There's really three answers to that question. Three potential answers to that question. If you start off with a story, you're just telling me a story and I'm still waiting for the answer to my question. So we want to make sure that we say what we mean and mean what we say, that we don't get lost in spinning out a tale. You'll start to recognize for yourself when you are telling a story instead of being direct. Often we package that in terms of not wanting to be impolite, not wanting to be brusque, all of the things we don't want to be, which is all about how people will perceive us if we are direct and clear in our communication and just ask for what we want and be willing to hear no as a response to it. If you're not willing to hear no, then you will spend a lot of time trying to manipulate the other person into either saying yes or not, I'm making air quotes, not hurting your feelings or not having their feelings hurt. You are not responsible for other people's feelings, which means you don't get to be an asshole. You don't get to be brusque and mean in an aggressive way, but you can certainly be direct. You have permission to tell the truth and speak plainly. You have permission to take up all of the space you as a human being require. Nobody can say that you are too much, you are too intense. That's such bullshit. When people level that at you or at anyone, it's veiled speak about their own feelings. It has nothing to do with you. You fit inside one person's space. You're not a person and a half. You're not a person and a fraction. You are a person. However large you can be as a person, that's a person size. So anybody who says that's too much, that's too intense, that's too ... that's about them and not about you. You do not need to take that on. Likewise, you don't need to apologize for being in the room. You don't need to walk into the room, metaphorically speaking, or literally speaking, already with your tail between your legs, apologizing for what you're going to do, say, ask for, participate in, take up space. You get to take up all the space that one person can take up. It isn't too much. So remember that no is a complete sentence, and that saying no to something is actually saying yes to something that you value more. In our society, in this culture, we are often focused on what's missing, glass half empty. Instead of being a glass half full kind of person, or focusing on what have you already committed to, what's already on your to-do list that you valued previously. Now, priorities change. Something that you used to value, you might value less, so you will move it down from a 1 to a 2 or from a 2 to a 3. If it's less than a 3 on your list, you might as well take it off because you're never going to get to it. But be clear that when you say no to something, you are actually reaffirming something that you've already committed to, and you're allowing the time and space to move on that, to act on it, to accomplish it. So it's not a diminishment by saying no. It's out in the world, we are taught that saying no is somehow we're missing an opportunity. It's all that FOMO stuff, fear of missing out, right? There's something sexy coming down the road. I want to be able to do that too. If it's really, really important to you, by all means do it. If it is not really important to you and it's just that story that's running back here of like, oh, I don't want to miss something fun or something cool, I want to be with the cool kids, or whatever that narrative is for you specifically, being able to be in dialogue with that and say, yes, and these are all of the things I've already committed to. These are all of the things I've already valued, and they are in alignment with the things that are important to me. Let me spend my time actually doing these things and being satisfied instead of looking at what I'm not doing. Because let's be clear, right now there's a soccer match happening someplace in the world that we're not attending. There is a sale someplace that we are not shopping at. There is a party that we have not been invited to, or we've been invited to that we're not going to. There's any number of things going on that we are not participating in. What are we participating in? And again, reframing it so that rather than looking at what is being missed, we are doubling down on the things that we are already committed to. So to recap, we want to be super clear about our communication. You can take up all of the space that you need to take up. You needn't apologize for being present in the room. In addition, if you find yourself starting to wander off point, bring yourself back to point. Feel empowered to turn to somebody that you're talking to and say, hey, we're getting off topic. I really want to bring us back into focus. Let's drill down into what we're really talking about. Let's not get waylaid and lost in narrative and story that might be fun, but is counterproductive to what we're trying to accomplish in this moment. That's what I want to share with you today. And I look forward to seeing you on another episode of Unstuff America. Be sure to rate and review us on iTunes and other places where you're listening to this, and we'll see you back here real soon.